Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we take those super boring corporate filings and turn them into something you can actually understand. Today we're diving into a proxy statement, which sounds like a spy novel, but is really just a company asking its shareholders for permission to do stuff. And trust me, sometimes that stuff is wild. We are looking at a filing from RumbleOn, a company that's in the business of buying and selling recreational vehicles and power sports equipment. Think motorcycles, ATVs, and all that fun stuff. This isn't their usual quarterly or annual report. This is a proxy statement. And it's basically them asking shareholders to vote on some important decisions at their upcoming annual meeting. This is amendment number 1, filed solely to include the missing proxy card from the original filing. So if you're wondering where that was, now you know. All the other stuff stays the same. The big date is June 4, 2025 at 8 AM Central Time. And get this, it's a virtual meeting only. No need to dust off your suit and travel. You can attend from your couch. Shareholders will vote on electing directors, approving changes to their stock plan, giving their opinion on executive pay, and ratifying their choice of auditor. Basically, RumbleOn wants shareholders to vote on a few key items: electing 7 directors, approving changes to their stock incentive plan, giving a thumbs up or thumbs down to how much the executives are getting paid, and confirming their choice of accounting firm. It's like a school election, but with bigger stakes and way more paperwork. First up, the election of 7 directors. These are the people who will be guiding the company for the next year. The board recommends voting for all 7 nominees. Let's meet a few of them. There's Mark Cohen, a managing partner at an investment firm, William Coulter with tons of experience in the power sports industry, and Rebecca Pollack, a legal expert with a background in the auto auction world. Seems like they've got a mix of financial, industry, and legal expertise. One thing about these meetings is only holders of record of RumbleOn's Class A and Class B common stock on April 8, 2025 are able to vote. There were 50,000 shares of Class A common stock in 37,809,028 shares of Class B common stock issued. So if you own shares after that date, or if your shares are Class B common stock issued. So if you own shares after that date, or if your shares are held in street name by a broker, you might not have a direct say. Now, let's talk about the stock plan amendment proposal. This is where things get a bit more technical. RumbleOn wants to amend their stock incentive plan, which is basically how they give stock options and other rewards to employees and executives. They want to increase the number of shares available under the plan by 2,500,000, get rid of some old limits, add a provision that lets the company increase the plan size each year without asking shareholders again, and let shares that were set aside for awards that never got used be put back in the pool. The last item on the agenda is ratifying the appointment of BDO USA PC as their independent auditor for the year. This is pretty standard stuff. The shareholders get to give their approval for who is in charge of making sure the company's financial statements are accurate. The board recommends you vote for it. Let's peek at how the top folks are getting paid. In 2024, Michael Kennedy, who is CEO for a bit, made $540,411. Tiffany Keiss, the CFO, made $366 and $546, and Brandy Treadway, the chief legal to Forza, pulled in $556,500 Aussie to vote to approve that compensation and vest over time or when certain performance goals are met. The company wants you to vote to approve that compensation package, and they vest over time or when certain performance goals are met. The company wants you to vote to approve that compensation package, and they vest over time or when certain performance goals are met. The company wants you to vote to approve that compensation package, and they vest over time or when certain performance goals are met. The company wants you to vote to approve that compensation package, and they vest over time or when certain performance goals are met. The company wants you to vote to approve that compensation package, and they vest over time. The summary compensation table shows what the top executives made in salary, bonus, stock awards, and other compensation. Former CEO Michael Kennedy had a salary of $525,000, the senior vice president and chief $6,345,000 in salary. The senior vice president and chief legal officer and secretary Brandy Treadway had $3,500 in salary. The senior vice president and chief legal officer and secretary Brandy Treadway had $314,904 salary. Former chief financial officer Blake Lawson had $100 in salary. The senior vice president and chief financial officer Tiffany Keiss had $92,500 in salary. Former Chief Financial Officer Blake Lawson had 102 Financial Officer Blake Lawson had 114,940,500 in salary. The Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer and Secretary Brandy Treadway had 314,904,000 salary. This table shows stock options and stock awards owned by named executive officers. Michael Kennedy has 825,000 stock options, but these are unexercisable. Tiffany Keiss has 25,042 unvested stock awards worth $138,978. Brandy Treadway has 12,429 unvested stock awards worth $67,449 unvested stock awards worth $67,489. These numbers matter because they show how much skin the executives have in the game. Digging into the director compensation, we see some interesting details. Mark Cohen, for example, waived his board and committee cash retainers in 2024. Stephen Pulley got $125, while Michael Cortieri received $64,699. Now we get to the fun part, pay versus performance. The SEC requires companies to show how executive compensation lines up with the company's financial results. For 2024, compensation actually paid to the CEO was negative $339,509. The NE9 Podrida top execs was $3037, $6,086 million. That's a pretty big gap to cover. A sharp contrast to previous years. There is $13 each remaining based on an initial fixed investment of $100. As of April 8, 2025, William Coulter has 18% of Class B common stock, beneficially owned. Mark Kakak has 18.2% of Class B common stock. As of the record date, all directors and executive officers as a group have voting power representing approximately 55.7% of our Class B common stock. Speaking of auditors, all services provided by BDO and Grant Thornton were approved by the Audit Committee. This committee is in charge of making sure the auditors are independent and that they're not doing anything that would create a conflict of interest. Now, what's my take on all this? The company seems to be in a bit of a transition with leadership changes and some financial losses, but it seems they have some plans with inventory. And the focus on virtual meetings makes sense given the company's tech-forward approach. One thing I'm keeping an eye on is the level of related party transactions. It's not necessarily a red flag, but it does raise questions about potential conflicts of interest. The company has a related party transaction policy in place, which is good, but it's something to watch closely. Overall, RumbleOn seems to be at a turning point. With focus and a clear strategy, they have the potential to turn things around. Thanks for watching Corporate Decoder. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more corporate deep dives.